In this lesson, we're going to take a look at the aggregate expenditure model. And for the vertical axis, we have AE representing aggregate expenditure. And for the horizontal axis, we have our GDP representing real GDP. We have an upward sloping 45-degree line, which represents total expenditure in a society. We have a completely vertical line representing full employment, and we have an upward sloping line representing our current expenditure level. Where AE1 intersects with our total expenditure line, this 45-degree line, it's telling us our current planned expenditure level, AE1 and Y1. But our goal is to reach what we would call a full employment of resources, a full employment of expenditures, having our aggregate expenditure curve touch the full employment curve as well as our total expenditure. So to move to full employment, let's say we have an increase in consumer confidence, which is the same thing that would result in an increase in aggregate demand. What will happen is that this aggregate expenditure line is going to shift upward, creating an entirely new line, and we are going to move these expenditures from AE1 to AE2, and our GDP is going to increase from Y1 to Y2. This increase in consumer confidence is going to lead to an increase in consumption, an increase in government spending, and it's overall going to lead to an increase in real GDP. So once again, we're going to take a look at the aggregate expenditure model, and this time we have our 45-degree line, which represents total expenditures. We have our full employment line and our current aggregate expenditure line all touching each other in what we would call an equilibrium point. Let's say in this situation we have a decrease in consumer confidence, which would also result in a decrease in aggregate demand. Well, that is also going to shift downward, decreasing our current aggregate expenditures. This is going to shift and create aggregate expenditure line 1, and it's currently going to be hitting this point of our total expenditure line. We are moving away from the full employment of resources. Aggregate expenditures are going to go down, and so will our GDP. A decrease in consumer confidence is going to result in a decrease in aggregate expenditures because people are not going to consume as much. Government is also decreasing their overall spending.